All right. What's up, Lewis? We're just gonna get right into it. So the first thing we're gonna do for the first class is go over this big checklist. Make sure you guys have everything checked off before you guys start reaching out to clients. Um, this will be the last slide, but I'll skip to it real quick because it's probably the only thing on your guys' mind. We think it's possible within a month, but we say 2 months probably is the limit. The longest it'll probably take you to get your first client is 2 months. If it takes you longer than that, you may want to reevaluate if working for yourself is the best choice. You know, it's not for everybody. There's no issue with getting a job, but yeah, in 2 months, if you can't get your first client, it's time to rethink. The first 1 to 2 weeks is going to be you're probably going to be spending the most time on what we're going to be going over today, which is that checklist. 2 to 4 is going to be when you're going to be doing your homework, writing all your email copy, all your pitches, finding your valuable leads, and then we'll be looking over that for you guys. Week 4 to 6, after we give you all our notes, you make those changes and you just go ham. We'll tell you, oh, these 10 leads look fantastic for you, and then you start outreaching from there. After that, you'll get responses, start following up your free consultations, which we'll actually go over with you the next class, how to have a free consultation, what questions to ask the clients, the leads, and all of that. But to first start out, the first thing you're going to want to identify is who are your customers. A lot of people, like we just had one guy who signed up for the starter, Festo, who's not going to see this class, but I'll probably give it to him anyways. I think he really needs it. But he's like so hell-bent on doing the spam email, using SendGrid or some other email, and just scraping a bunch of emails and going ham. And I was trying to tell him, I think it's just a language barrier, that that's okay, but it's not really what we do at Ivy. So, we funded him the starter package, and I hope he does well. But what we do here is we really want to find businesses, small and medium businesses that have a sizable marketing budget, so that not only can you start them with Instagram at a nice price point, 300 to 500, but then you also know that there's room for growth there, because you want to not only retain the client but grow their value in your portfolio, because it's recurring revenue. So the more upsells you can add onto the recurring revenue, the more golden you are. So who are your customers? The first thing you need to decide, individuals or businesses. You can target individuals and it is profitable, but that is still going to be at a higher price point than most people charge. You're still going to want to charge around $150 to $200 if you're going after individuals. And these individuals aren't going to be the people you're going to try to spam Instagram to, spam DM on Instagram. These are going to be influencers that you can tell are trying to make this their full-time job. So we have actually about 3 influencers who signed with us, but they all pay at the very least $200 a month. And one of them actually started her own skincare brand and then signed that skincare brand with us for the business version of $500 a month. So that's the value of finding the right targets, that have already a good budget, because then you can grow with them. And that's what we'll help you with. So one, individuals or businesses. You decide that now. That's going to decide most of your marketing copy. We highly recommend businesses. Individuals are a lot more fickle. They're freelancers. We also don't recommend going after photographers or stuff like that, people that are a one-man show, but we'll go over that later. So once you've defined individuals or businesses, you're going to want to define, what is their age range. If you're going for influencers, it's probably going to be lower, in the 20 to 30s. But when you kind of look at that, you'll also have to realize since they're in the 20 to 30s, their budget and their room for growth is a lot lower than a business that's already running. You can create that growth for them, and that's why, sometimes it may be viable. If you see an influencer you think can catch on, you sign them at $200 a month. But then there's a contingency that you start taking, if there's a brand deal, scale with influencers, which we're starting to do slowly, because we do now have a great client list, and now we have some influencers connecting them, as a new revenue stream. But that's also we'll deal with later. So what is their income? You're going to want to have businesses. Like I said, a photographer is technically a business, but if he's a one-man show and he gets like 2 bookings a month, will he have budget for you, let alone to grow with you? So what is their annual revenue? This is something that's very general to New York City. It's going to vary much city to city, country to country. But for a rule of thumb for us, if the business is doing at least $500,000 in revenue per year, they can easily afford the $500 a month Instagram right away. On top of that, we know that they'll most likely be able to afford the website development that will probably upsell them, um, email marketing, Facebook ads, anything that that kind of fits into your niche of digital marketing, which we'll also go over later, is something that you kind of need to have in the back of your mind, because you don't want to stick with just Instagram. Um, there's too many of those already, and you're gonna just kind of get into a saturated market. What you want to do is find high value clients that you can offer high value to, who will stay with you and create that sustainable income that you're looking for. Are
Yeah.
they spending money on marketing already? So this is a big one. If they're already spending money on marketing, you already have a huge in, because they already have set aside a budget for what you're gonna do. They've set aside a budget. They want to spend money to get customers. That's all a marketing budget is. I want to spend money and get customers. I don't care how. It could be online marketing, commercials, whatever, but they've set aside a marketing budget. So all your job now is to come in and say, hey, out of your marketing budget, I can take $500 of that and make you back more than that. That's all you have to tell them. Because if they have a marketing budget, they're ready to spend money for customers. If you tell them you give me money and I give you customers, what else is there to say? What is their monthly budget for marketing? If they're already spending money on marketing, it's a good idea to kind of bring that up in a free consultation. What's your monthly budget? Monthly budget for marketing. Not only that, what is that breakdown? And then what you can do is, not in a very mean way or offhand way, but in a very honest way, critique their budget spending. I think that's always gone over very well for me in free consultations when I ask for a breakdown and say, oh, I'm spending about $300 on Facebook ads right now. And I say, with those $300 in Facebook ads, are you retargeting? Are you spending that $300 on a warm audience, or just boosting random posts? 99% of owners are just boosting random posts. They don't know what they're doing. And so all you have to tell them is like, that $300 is much better well spent here. Um, and this is true. One of our clients, Alchemical Studios, actually spends, or they used to spend, about $200-300 a month. Thomas can attest, boosting random Facebook posts. They would boost a post $5 a day, $2 a
Yeah.
day here, and they didn't even pay attention to the targeting. They just wanted more likes. You know what I mean? And this is a business that's doing more than 800K in revenue a year. They just rent studios, right? But that's going to be the business that you find, because these businesses that are doing well, they've been doing well before social media was a thing. So they don't really feel that pressure. But since they've been doing well, they have that budget. So all you have to do is come in and say, hey, you've been doing well, but you haven't kept up with the times, and with us, you'll do better. Um, and so we really like to find customers, businesses, who are doing well revenue-wise, but their online presence sucks. Um, so if you take a look at this for I would assume all of you is going to be your target right here in the center. You want businesses that don't have a good online presence. Their Instagram is terrible, especially if they're already posting a lot. Perfect. You want to find businesses that are already using Instagram but are performing poorly. But you want these businesses to be profitable and growing revenue. If they're a failing business and they look at you as a last resort, you better expect 30, 15 emails a day just with complaints. They're breathing down your neck. But if a business is already profitable and growing in revenue, all that pressure is taken off, because they're already in a comfortable profit area. And all you have to do is prove to them that this little amount of money they're throwing your way, $500 a month, nothing for a successful business. This gives them a return. And for most business owners, that return is as simple as seeing their followers go up each day. That's going to vary client to client what that return is going to be, and how you position yourself is also going to determine what they expect. But we go over that in the free consultation. So after you define your customers, let's say, okay, my customer is a 40 to 55-year-old business owner, mostly male. They make at least 500K revenue a year. Another important thing that I found is, like, they should have at least 5 employees. Under 5 employees, the business probably hasn't scaled yet, doesn't have really room to grow, and that $500 a month may be kind of like, is always on the back of their mind. It's cutting into their budget, right? If they already have 5 employees, that's 5 salaries. $500 a month to you guys, nothing, right? How do you find out all this information about the businesses? Go over that a little bit in the prospecting. I can tell you right now, we have one called Albatross that tracks who goes on our website and gives us some business information. But two, a lot of businesses file public tax returns. So, I mean, quite easy. And the second thing is you can always, it's pretty easy to tell when you go on their website whether the business is doing well or not. You can look up their Yelp reviews. If their Yelp is popping, that's a successful business. I've turned down people that have tried to get my help when I go on their Yelp. It's a 1-star Yelp business with about 50 reviews with 1 star. There's nothing I can do, and I mean I know that she'll give me money and expect miracles, and that's not something that you'll want at the beginning. We had a couple people like that at the beginning, and it really takes over your world because at one, it's one of your first clients, so you're very scared not to disappoint them because you're so scared to get a first bad review. And so it ends up sucking all your time and energy. I would highly, highly recommend, and that's why I really preach this, to really find high value targets that you already know have the money. And the $500 is not going to be a huge burden to them. And when you do think about businesses and a successful business, $500 a month should be almost nothing. So let's define their problems. We've understood now who our customers are, but now we need to kind of understand why they need us. Like I said, if they're already successful business and profit, why do they really need you? Well, the great thing about social media now is even if you're 55 years old, which is the average age of a business owner in the US, even if you're 55 years old, you have to understand the importance of social media now. And what I think most frustrates our clients that when I talk to them is that they understand that it's important, they just don't understand how to use it. And so what we try to highlight is that small, medium business owners are often frustrated, confused by social media. And most importantly, they realistically don't have the time to learn the nuances of Instagram because these small, medium business owners are busy running a business, right? If you're busy running your own Instagram agency, you're not, let's say you start selling some merch on the side, it's gonna take you a long time to learn product chain, supply chains, manufacturing, minimum order quantities, tooling, all that kind of stuff. That in itself is its own business, and that's why agencies start forming. You capitalize on the time that you've spent learning this knowledge because they don't have the time to. And they already realize that it's an important part of business now. Having an online presence has to be important. When you show them their problems, you really want to position yourself as a guide. And what I mean by that is when you bring up their problems, you need to show that you're not just a solution, but you have the knowledge of why they have the problem and what the solution is. Because once you position yourself that way, anytime they have any kind of, and these are 55-year-old people, so you need to understand, anytime they'll have a problem when it comes to digital marketing, they will come to you, whether it's Instagram related or not, if you position yourself correctly, if you can define their problems. Because you should not stop at Instagram. Once you define their Instagram problem, like, hey, your Instagram's not doing well because of this, this, and this, which will be very easy to do. All you have to say is, now that your Instagram is growing, we've gotten you about, 3,000 followers last month. We're going to get you about 3,000 followers this month. We see your sales going up a little bit, but we think that customers will have a better time converting if your website matched your Instagram aesthetic a little more. You just presented a new problem. Since you're the guide, they'll say, oh, okay, that's true. What do you suggest? And then you just, here's a website we made for our past client. We can make the same website for you. Your sales went up. Your sales will go up. Website maintenance is another $250 a month. You need to define their problems, and you need to make them understand that when they have those problems, you are the solution. Don't know why that's misspaced. Before your solution, show them the plan. After you define their problem, what you'll have to do is define your solution very simply for them. They're 55-year-old business owners. They have almost no tech knowledge. So they're not going to really care about those buzzwords like scraping this, algorithm that. You can throw that in a little bit, but all you have to tell them is, if you're a local business, we bring you targeted local followers. If you have a great product, they will become customers. It's really that simple. And so all your ad copy, all your marketing should be kind of revolving around that one point, is they gain customers. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're hiring you for. And I think what a lot of you could be scared of is like, oh, what if I don't get them customers? Well, then you're not, then you shouldn't be paid, and you shouldn't be doing this, because that's your whole sell. You know, you need to be confident that you get them customers, because if you're saying, oh, Andrew, what if I sign them and I don't get them customers? Then why would anybody else sign with you? Okay, so don't be kind of scared of not getting them customers and saying, oh, what if I don't? If you have that fear, you need to now go and work on as many test accounts as you have, trying to get maybe a pro bono client account, but really, really become confident that no matter what client you take on, you can grow them. Because if you're not at that point, then you should not be taking on a client. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I don't think all of you, that you invested the money for this network as well, that you would want this to become a long-term agency. And I would say, me and Thomas have talked about this a lot, that relying on Mass Planner is a great income, but in the long run, you're going to want to grow this to something. You're going to want an office. You're going to want a couple employees. I mean, at least that's our goal. I don't know if that's your guys' goal, but I would say it should be, because if you're not thinking past Mass Planner, in about 2-3 years you're done, most likely. What else? There's not a huge barrier to entry. In 2 to 3 years, most people will know what we know now. What you're going to have to do is stay on top of the trends. So we'll be going over what growth techniques that don't involve Mass Planner is what we'll be going over in later classes. And why I had such a big emphasis earlier on growing client value was because now a lot of our clients don't just pay us for Instagram. They pay us for website development, website management, starting soon Facebook ads, starting soon Google Analytics, and CRO, conversion rate optimization. And these are things that we're working on the side, but the reason we're not leaving Instagram is because Instagram is such an easy pull right now. Businesses, just like I said, they know that social media is important and they don't know what to do with it. They've already heard about websites, they've already heard about SEO, they don't really think about that now. All they think about social media. But once you get them hooked on social media and show that you can grow that, you can start offering them your other products. Back to the timeline, till first client acquisition. This is about it for me. I think now Thomas is going to want to go over the Trello board. That's going to go over all these slides, to be honest. So these slides are just based on that Trello board. Let me load that up right now. Thomas, can you share your screen?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think.
In Trello we trust. True. Very true. In Trello we do trust. We actually graduated to Asana recently, but we may be leaving that behind as well. Just as a side note, guys, it's going to be part of your homework, but really defining your core set of software early on saves you a lot of headaches. Can't tell you how many different billing systems we've switched between, online proposal systems, trying to make them all work together. Getting that set up early on before you even sign your first client, I wish I did that. It's a little ad hoc to begin with, but we smooth out. You can tell with the client portal and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to be signing a client and then going back and forth over email to handle everything. Thomas loading up the board.
Yeah. Apparently I still have to download some kind of tool for this.
Yeah, I remember having to do that. It took like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's about to get ready.
If driving match play went down tomorrow, do we have software? Yeah, there's a bunch of different automation bots that we have. I have instead of lifetime, follow like or lifetime.
Right, can you see the screen, guys?
Yep, we're good.
All right. So as Andrew said already, we have two big Trello boards laid out for the Ivy network. The one is the homework assignments. So here we'll list each month new homework assignments. So for this first time, they'll be basically in line with the master agency startup plan. If you have questions about the homework, just ask them in the chat on Slack, or even mail us, and we'll try and help you as much as we can. And next up is the topic of today. That's the master agency startup checklist. Now, I won't go over everything in detail because Andrew already talked about it, a few things. I mean, it's so vast, this Trello board, that you have to read it anyway. So we can't possibly go over everything at this moment. So as you see, it's laid out in various steps or various core concepts that you need to define before you start up the agency, before you can really become successful at what you're doing. For one, of course, driving your own business, but also you'll see there are things about how to really think about who is your client and stuff like that. So one of the first steps is actually just the ideation phase. Think about what do you want to do, what services do you plan on offering, what problem are you solving for your client. So the point of your business is to really solve something for your client, because if you're not offering them value, they shouldn't even pay you for something. Also have a look at, is there somebody in my current market or in my current area? Like Lewis, you're from Scotland. Is there someone in Scotland that's already doing this for clients? And see how they do it, how they word it, how perhaps even take out a trial of their service just to experience how it feels. So you can get an idea of the competition, but also maybe things you have to keep in mind, some niche or region specific sensitivities that people care about.
I just want to jump in really quick when Thomas said about, really just trying out competition. That's an investment. So there's a reason Thomas joined Ryan's mentor chat. He lives by what he preaches.
True that. Another thing is also, do you experience the problem yourself? Because when you're talking to clients, and if you're, Andrew talked about establishing yourself as the guide. If you don't experience the problem, that's going to be a very hard thing to do. Just because, I mean, I drive a car, but I generally don't have a lot of problems with my car. So it's hard for me to put myself in the mind of a car technician at how he should position his business, how he should get more clients. With Instagram, it's the same. I mean, if you're not using Instagram for your own business or for your own amusement, then it's hard to see how a customer or a business would have issues growing Instagram if you're not using it yourself. And then, of course, in the ideation phase, the last thing to think about is, does your service really solve the problem? Or is it just like a small patchwork? Is it just you that wants to make a quick buck? But I mean, if you're just after a quick buck, the Ivy network isn't the best thing for you, because we're really aiming to get high ticket clients and we aim to deliver real measurable value for them. Lewis, don't leave the chat, man. So, okay, the next thing is, so we identified our services, our potential problems that the client is having. you see here, that's the ideation phase. We also have a column, the problem, that's a bit more in depth about those things.
Oh
So
wait,
for
Thomas,
instance,
really quick. Sorry to hop in. If you're watching the recording, this applies to you too. We would want everyone to answer every single one of these questions on the card. So if Thomas, you click
yeah,
on the card, I've invited all of you to the board. Um,
add a
so it'd be
comment.
great to also see each other's answers and work off each other. You all have a similar business. So every single card, I should see answers. So click on the card, comment your
Boom,
answer,
like this.
go on to the next one. That should be part of.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of your homework. If not, I gotta add it.
Okay. So we had the ideation.
You do
We
see
talked
everyone's
about.
answers.
Yep. So we have the problem. So things about like, what's the consequence if the customer isn't doing anything to solve their problem? So on Instagram, the main thing or the main benefit for your customer is they get more traffic to their website, they get DMs to book services, perhaps even to buy stuff. So what's the consequence if the customer isn't doing anything to get more leads, to get more engagement, to get more impressions? Well, the consequence is that they're leaving a lot of money on the table and potentially even go out of business because they're not taking up this opportunity. So
And not
if you
only
think
that,
really,
sorry, I just want to jump. Not only that, but they'll be leaking their customers to a competitor that has a better online presence.
yeah,
So a
yeah,
good selling point oftentimes is showing them a competitor that has a little bit of a better presence than them and saying, hey, I think that your product's better than this person's, whether you believe it or not, because they will believe it. Your product's service very similar to this other company's, but we think yours is better after talking to you. I can see why yours is better, but their online presence is a little bit better. You can see they're getting much more engagement, so they're probably taking customers from you.
yeah,
That has always
exactly.
been, don't want to give too much about the free consultation class away, but that's always been a very easy sell.
Yep. Now to think about it, there's also an American website somewhere that lists like the statistics of how many people purchase of brands on Instagram. So that's also something interesting to look at when you're at this point to really think about the problem. And it's something you could also use in the consultation, like, hey, in America, so many people are buying stuff of brands they saw on Instagram. So it's really just talking to them and trying to add value to the conversation. So now that we had the problem, of course, our services are going to offer the solution, or they should offer the solution. But you also have to make sure that you, for one, really solve the problem so that you're not just adding on fake followers that won't buy anything from the client. So, I mean, that's really a concern a lot of people have, especially now with all the Facebook hacks and the Instagram press release that they're removing fake engagement. So people are really becoming aware about the quality of the followers and the quality of the engagement. So this is in our solution something that we'll really have to keep in mind, and also when we talk to our clients, are we committed to delivering real value? And I'm finishing up a guide for HypeAuditor credits today, and HypeAuditor is also a platform we use just to show to our client, like, hey, we're not giving you fake followers, we're giving you value. So this is part of the solution. We also need to think like, hey, is my solution better than that of my competitor? Is it better than like an SMM panel, like just another panel where you can buy fake followers from Bangladesh or Turkey or something like that? But also keep in mind like how reasonable, how much money is my client willing to pay for this? And it's always a good thing to start out at a medium price. So always take in account the minimum price that you have to be able to continue this, that you're not spending too much time for like $50 a month. If you're spending 5 hours a week on it, you should be doing serving at McDonald's. You'll earn more.
And then just a quick point to add to that, is that whatever billing software you start using, most likely it'll have time tracking in it. And this is something that I'm going to start doing, or we're about to start doing. I really recommend everyone else does it, is start tracking your time that you work on clients. I know you're not billing them by hours, you're billing them on a monthly fee, fantastic. But you need to value your own time at a certain rate. So I like
Yeah.
to value my own time, my minimum own time, which I believe that you guys should too if you guys have enough Instagram knowledge, because knowledge is where value is, at $50
Yep.
an hour. And so if I'm tracking my time with a client, because that is profit, your time is literally money when you're running an agency or you're a consultant. And so you really have to think about how much time am I putting in per client. Yes, the proxy is only $2. Yes, the VPS is only $40,